Okay, I am online now. This is the Dove Lady, and I want to talk to you more and show you more pictures of the curved lined balls. I'm very interested in them because of a communication I received back in August that said what I was looking at was a process of seeing light in the process of bonding itself into these curved line balls. What the curved line balls are is a process in which matter is being put together. Now that's a biggie, I know, and how it would come through me, I don't know, because I am not that smart with science or the mathematics of all this. I listen to the particle physicist and I don't understand much of what they say. But I'm seeing things, and I see them both with the naked eye and with my camera. And now I've gotten this communication that tells me that that is what it is. It is an intelligence. It knows people. It knows me. It said that it would manifest for me in due time. And I was told that I would be getting a report that I could give to the scientist, explaining it better than I know how to myself, which I've been waiting for over a month now. I don't have it yet, but I do think it will come. It's kind of like it was a promise, and I have it right here in writing because it came into my Google Drive in a message that was put in a file that I called The Power of Love. And it said that, let's see, I'm telling you, no, not that, I don't want to read that part. I'm going to ask them to consider, I'm going to give you a letter of a sorts in which you can address those scientists who would say that the orbs you take pictures of are nothing more than some kind of easily explained phenomena. I'm going to ask them to consider how that you are able to see light in the process of bonding itself into the curved line balls. What the curved line balls are is a process in which matter is being put together. It will manifest for you in due time. It will be all that you want it to be, and if you are not sure what you want, it knows for you that you want something you have asked for many times. Now, I read this entire 2-page message in the last couple of videos I made ago, and it's an intelligence. It knows what's in my mind, just like however this got written. This was something I had told no one, something I imagined I would want to manifest, just in my mind, never speaking of it to anyone else. And to me, it was sort of like a pipe dream, just going to go up in smoke. But nevertheless, I had a little hope that maybe it's possible that we can manifest things right out of the thin air. And I always thought, well, if we can, what I want to manifest is a silver bowl filled with apples that are made of gold, solid gold apples. And so it says, it knows for you, you want something you have asked for many times, that message said. It is that which you asked for that is both silver and gold and fruit. It will be accomplished in time, and you will have it for evidence to use for an example. And I tell you, people don't believe you unless you can give them something concrete, something evidential to them, that they can understand. The pictures, though, they're pretty good, I think, that show this bonding of energy. Don't impress as much as something they can hold in their hands. And I hope the day comes real soon that happens. Now, these are the little balls that I'm talking about, the curved line balls. And at first, they are like a dark ring, and they are the result of me putting the little glass that I'm getting the shine off of. I put it into my mouth and get some saliva on it. Then when I look at it. It has a lot of color, and it has these little black rings that are the moisture. I see it evaporating, and it leaves a black hole, and the black hole eventually diminishes down into a thing that looks like a little X, like this. And the little X thing starts turning into something that looks like the curved, lined balls. And I've gotten an assortment of pictures showing the progress of that. See, there's some in here, but I recognize 2 of the curved line balls coming together there. But they do get intermingled in with all the other stuff that's in the orb, which I have no idea what the other stuff is. I'm thinking, though, that color is a living entity, and that it creates in this dimension of light that I'm looking at with my camera. And I have seen other people get in their orbs some of these curved line balls. And this is wonderful news, because maybe we will live into that time when we solve all the almost insurmountable problems that we seem to have in this world by being able to create. And I have a theory that with the atom, we shouldn't try to control it. We should let the atom show us and respect the atom, and not restrict it with our definitions of what it is and what it can do, and trying to find out all the nitty-gritty on it is a form of limiting the atom. And I want them to be free. Now, you can see some of them in this. I took this several years ago, but I didn't know then to look for the curved line balls. But I see them when I look back at some of my older orb pictures, like this one is. I see they were there. This is an old one, and these are the little photons of light. And I tell you, they are contortionists. they can lengthen out into a ribbon, or they can fan like a folded up piece of paper you make a fan of. They look erratic sometimes, like electricity going this way and that. And they twist in the middle, or they twist on the end. They reproduce themselves. I've seen them do that. And they have colors that change all the time in them. They're writhing with colorful, snake-like links of color that wrap around each other in such a way that sometimes they form the pattern that I'm talking about, this curved line ball. Now, I'm going to go through a few in succession until there's one of the curved line balls. They reproduce. You can see 2 of them touching right there, and 2 touching right there. And you can see them once you've trained your eyes to know what they look like. They take on many colors, and they seem to just fill up an orb and spill over into another. But I don't think it's the orb they're spilling over into. Actually, I think the orb is just like a magnifying glass being passed over it, and you're just seeing one long background. But they're on many different planes of light, because some of the backgrounds are quite different than what's in one orb to another that I have in the same picture. So it is a vast land of, I don't know how to call it, of light planes, I'll put it that way. And I don't pretend to understand it, but then again, I don't have to understand it, because sometimes what you have to understand, you think you want to control, you think you want to know all about it so you can duplicate it and give it ideas of your own. And these are atoms, I believe. They're the electron. There are many things that the scientists have given names to. I hesitate to give a name because it seems that it wants to be free to be unlimited. Once we name something, we limit it, that thing that we name. And once we call certain conditions bad, they remain bad because we're keeping them that way by our calling of them as our eyes see them. But our eyes deceive us because we see the illusion and we are part of the illusion. And so we don't really know what anything is for. And we need to have more confidence that all that is, our Creator, has a plan, and it's a very beautiful plan. But sometimes we get in the way because we are creators too. We have co-creative ability. And with our thoughts, we create all kinds of things that we don't like living with after we've created them. So I think the solution is to start thinking differently about what our eyes see and call what is not as though it were. Now see, this was from a while back, and there's those curved line balls over in this little part right here that my arrow is on. I never even noticed that, but they were forming. These colors, they look chaotic sometimes, but they have an ability to self-organize themselves. Now this is the one where I say the light reproduces. See, there's an orb here up on top and down below. This one is an orb, and they toss a third orb back and forth between them. And what determines how they toss that? My camera and me, my moving of the camera this way or that. We, the observer, have a lot to do with what we observe. There's some of the curved line balls in this, but they seem to be getting all mangled up. Although there may be an order that I don't understand. But they do form and then multiply, it seems. Sometimes they look like this. They haven't quite made the curved line balls. I see them in the process of it. Like this one is in process. There's one right here. And what are all of these circles? See, all the circles and the little tiny circles? All stages of circles, from little tiny to darker looking circles and circles with concentric circles around them. Now, what is all of that? And also, this is taken with a camera that gives me what I call artifacts. Here, I'll show you one of them. Is this one right here that I'm pointing to. It was my very first artifact. And slowly, more artifacts appeared. Here's one. I call them artifacts because they must be in my camera, because they turn up on the same place on the page of where they are is always pretty much the same area. Like this one is one. This little thing right here is one. It shows up every time. Unless there's too much darkness around it, then it won't show up. And it looks like a whole lot of the stuff that's in the orbs, but this seems to be something in my camera because it keeps showing up in the same place. This one, I call the little fairy because she's dark here. You can't see what she really looks like unless you lighten it. And I have several pictures where I did that. Anyway, and then there's, I don't have my, I'll show you another one in a minute. It's right down here, but it doesn't show up too good in that one. Now, this is a curved line ball right here, but it's got a lot of color in it. And there's partly one you can see sort of happening there. I have some pictures in this album that don't belong, so these are curved line balls. They've gotten real colorful. And then after they make the curved line balls, they're morphing yet again into something which I don't know how or what, because I have to catch it in the stages of seeing it progress. And I don't know what it will next be. But right now, it's the curved line balls. And sometimes they look kind of like a bone, like this one right here, because there's one forming there, one there, and on either side there's some forming. And it makes a little space that looks like a bone. Also, sometimes 3 of them are together instead of 4, and it looks like a little triangle. See, that looks like a little bone. See, there's 4 of them beginning to happen around this dark area. And they can get very colorful, and at first they look like a little pinch of the color together. And then they start growing into what looks like the X. And then they get bigger and make the curved line balls. And I'll show you several pictures I have of them. I'm watching them as I'm taking these film, but they can disappear as quickly as they show me the curved line ball. Then I look again in that same spot. I think it's the same spot, but obviously I'm somewhere else in the orb. I can't continue seeing it through all its stages of becoming something else. But I am seeing the very colorful ones forming now of the curved line balls. Like this one's going to be very colorful here. And lately, they've been stretching, kind of stretching a long way. Like this is 2 of the curved line balls, but this one on the bottom here, I got more of it in it, but it goes even further. It's stretching like pencil-like length. Here's another example of that. And it is the process of the bonding of energy into the physical. And so this is exciting. I wish somebody would get excited with me about it. But I seem to be alone in this. And I know it's easy for people to think, just hearing me now, well, she's some kind of crazy lady. But I've gotten to where I really, really don't care anymore. Because if people aren't interested, they're not. And I'm not interested in trying to get them to be. Now this is a recent thing. I call it the patch. It moves in on the orb that I'm looking at. And when I move to a different angle of light that I'm filming, it moves with me. Not as quickly as I move because I can get other pictures, but before long, it's pushing its way either from the right or the left or somewhere. I call it the patch. It's kind of dark. Sometimes it can have a lot of color in it. It depends on how much light there is under it, because I think there's many layers to this that I'm looking at. And it has this little round circle that's part of it that kind of lingers above one part of it. I see that often. Now there's some curved line balls beginning to form. And like at first they're a dark circle, and then it evaporates, and then all kinds of stuff's going on inside that darkness. And if it's the moisture from my mouth, from saliva, then I guess it's hydrogen, H2O. Maybe I'm looking at the hydrogen atom. I don't know. I've gotten some orbitals that I've shown in the past that look like the hydrogen orbital that I've seen scientists portray, and they have an artist's rendition of what they think it looks like. And it looks a whole lot like some of the pictures I'm getting. I don't have them in this batch. There's that patch again moving in. And there's just so much color in this world of light. And it's a living thing, and this color is moving about, doing who knows what. Well, I hope it is what I was told, forming matter. But if it forms something that I've desired and tried to manifest, then maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe this wouldn't be the same for another person because they might desire to manifest something different. But I think first we have to know that we can. It is the way of knowing that will bring it about. We can't explain it. There's not going to be a scientific explanation of what causes this to be. And if that's what you need, you won't see it. You might experience other people who don't have to have the explanation actually bringing forth because they just have a knowing that defies any explanation because it's not on this 3D plane of activity that we call the laws of physics that operate in this world. It doesn't operate by that law of physics. It supersedes physics. It's why Jesus could say to the ocean, be calm, or how he could multiply the food or make people well. And it's just a mysterious force to us for the most part. But it's something we have to know about. And then believe and deny what our senses tell us and know, deny and know that we're the ones in control when we control our thoughts and our emotions. There's a lot in this world now where you hear people making videos, a lot of them are, and they're giving you a lot of stories, scientific ones and religious ones, of doom and gloom. And I don't think our Creator has a plan like that for humanity. I think we need to know that we don't have to be subject to what theories they're throwing out there any more than the theories of scientists who claim to have more empirical evidence. But the truth is, empirical evidence is what we see with our senses. And this is in a realm where our senses are not going to help us a whole lot because they are what deceive us. And we have to study metaphysics because that's beyond the physical laws of things. Now this is one day when it just started making a circle, and I followed that circle for a while. And this is one of the curved line balls beginning with a lot of color. I think that a lot of times when I'm getting a bunch of color in one little spot, it's that beginning to happen. This looks like one beginning to happen. And that also, starting out with a lot of color. And I'll be filming this, and I don't know how to put it. I see the colors change, and sometimes I'm wanting to take a picture and it's already changed before my picture snaps. Now here is one of the curved line balls at the very bottom of this that has two of them started. It's going to be kind of red, green, but those colors change. See now, here's a continuation of one of the curved line balls, and it's got blue and purple and green intermingled in it. Now, I told you about the patch that moves around. Here it is at the top of this picture, trying to come into the space I'm looking in. So I snapped the picture real quick before it covered, because it tries to block. I don't think on purpose, but see, it just moves into the view of my camera. Everything in this world of light I'm looking at can move around. And see, I actually took the picture of the patch here because it had a lot of color in it when it moved over. It may be reflecting through it the colors that are under it. I don't know, but I thought that was really pretty. But sometimes this patch can be very dark. If I'm aiming my camera into a part of the light that is further away from the light source, then I get into where it's too dark, and so the patch becomes real dark. There's part of the patch. And some of these pictures I'm showing are just what I think are the curved line balls beginning. Now, I don't know what this thing is. I saw it and I thought, wow, that's very colorful, but it doesn't look like the beginning of a curved line ball. But I just thought it interesting. Sometimes they look like they're forming an 8. And then sometimes these black holes seem to have colorful streams of things coming out of them and going from one to another. Sometimes I get this big long strands of colorful stuff going through like a vein in the orb. I follow those veins sometime, and they can turn into not such a gutter, but just one of the colors remaining, like this one had red in it. And I followed it a little further up, and it wasn't quite so wide, and the red was still there. And I continued following it, and it usually just ends abruptly. I tell you, these little strands, it could be like the theorists who believe in string theory. It could be as they have supposed, only they maybe didn't think of all those strings as having color, but they do. And all this is happening all around us. When they talk about dark matter, they say, oh, it passes through our bodies. It's everywhere. It fills space, but nobody can see it. And what I'm taking pictures of can't be seen with the naked eye by everyone, just a few of us. I don't know any others, but I can see it with the naked eye. It's not real easy to do. I have to look in a way that I'm kind of squinting my eye into the light, and I don't know who all can do it, who all would even try. But I use a LED light that I look at, and I don't look with my eye wide open. I squint my eyes and only allow a little tiny portion of the light to come into my eyes, and it makes this big orb that has all these little things like you see in these orbs floating about in it. So I know I'm seeing into the same world of light that I'm filming into. And it is wonderful to be an explorer of this sort of dimension. I've long ago given up the thought that I could prove to some people that it's not light refraction. It's another kind of thing. Look at how it looks like cotton candy here. It's lumpy looking. I really wish I had an even better camera to take pictures of it, but this will ruin your cameras because when you film the light, you ruin the little sensitivities inside the camera, especially the ones that help you make the videos.